5 minutes ago, the Supreme Court in London didn't just witness a testimony, they witnessed an execution. When legendary investigative journalist Tom Bower stood before the judge and uttered 2 words, Operation Cuckoo, the entire room descended into absolute chaos. Prince Harry sat frozen, his face drained of color, looking like a man whose soul had just been ripped away. And Meghan Markle? She didn't fight back. She didn't sue. She fled the courtroom in tears, her carefully constructed facade crumbling before the world's eyes. Today, we are not talking about gossip. We are talking about the end of the Sussex brand. Tom Bower, a man who executes reputations with surgical precision, has just exposed what he calls the dirty divorce contract. This isn't about bridesmaid dresses. This is about national fraud. It is about a record of overlaps between Harry and Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, that has been hidden for a decade. For years, we suspected there was a secret too big to tell. Today, that secret just walked through the front door of the High Court. Harry thought he was fighting for privacy, but it turns out he might have been fighting to protect a genetic lie he didn't even know existed. Do not look away. By the end of this video, we will open the Cuckoo file and reveal why Buckingham Palace has allegedly buried a DNA test in a wine cellar for 6 years. The truth is about to explode. To understand the devastation unfolding in courtroom number 7, we must turn our eyes to the forgotten man of this saga. When Tom Bower spoke the name Trevor Engelson, a collective shiver ran through the royal legal team. Why? Because Trevor isn't just an ex-husband who can be dismissed and forgotten. He is the keeper of the secrets. He is the man who stood by Meghan for nearly a decade. From when she was a struggling actress trying to get an audition, to the moment she tasted her first slice of fame on Suits. He knows every habit, every ambition, and most importantly, he comprehends the darkest corners of Meghan's calculated climb to power. But there is a chilling detail about Trevor that Tom Bower highlighted, a detail that explains Harry's terror. It is the story of the FedEx divorce. According to unauthorized biographies, including works by Andrew Morton, Meghan ended her first marriage with a brutality that shocked Hollywood. She didn't fly home to face him. She didn't have a tearful conversation. She simply took her diamond wedding ring, put it in a box, and mailed it back to him via FedEx without a warning note. It was a ninja divorce, cold, clinical, and devastatingly final. Trevor was reportedly crushed, feeling like something stuck to the bottom of her shoe. This story matters today for one reason: pattern. If Meghan could discard the man she loved for a decade the moment he no longer served her ambition, what makes Prince Harry think he is safe? But here is where the story shifts from heartbreak to conspiracy. In the years since Meghan became the most famous woman on earth, everyone has spoken. Her father, her sister, her old friends. But Trevor Engelson? Silence. He has never given an interview. He has never sold a story. He has never uttered a single bad word about her in public. Why? Tom Bower suggests this silence isn't born of respect. It is born of something else. Bower asserts that the connection between Meghan and Trevor never truly ended the way we were told. He claims to have evidence of unusual communication patterns between 2016 and 2017. We are talking about anonymous email accounts and high-level encrypted messaging apps. Why would a duchess-in-waiting need to use encrypted apps to talk to an ex-husband she supposedly cut off? Was she discussing Hollywood business? Or was she maintaining a safe exit strategy in case her royal dream shattered? The courtroom gasped when Bower suggested that Trevor is not just a ghost from the past. He is a present danger, because if those encrypted messages exist, and if Trevor decides to break his decade of silence, he holds the power to rewrite history. And as Bower turned the page of his evidence folder, he revealed why those messages mattered. He wasn't just talking about emotional betrayal. He was talking about a timeline that reveals an inexplicable overlap between the end of Trevor and the beginning of Harry, an overlap that took place in Toronto, far away from the prying eyes of the palace. In the courtroom, Tom Bower didn't offer emotional speculation. Instead, he did something far more dangerous. He asked the court clerk to display a complex diagram on the massive screen. He called this document the Record of Overlaps. And as Bower began peeling back each layer with methodical precision, the fairy tale of a single, independent woman finding her prince began to dissolve into a story of calculation and strategy. According to the official narrative the Sussexes have always promoted, by the summer of 2016, Meghan had completely severed ties with her past to embark on her journey toward royal love. We were told she was living her best single life in Toronto while filming Suits. But Bower presents a drastically different reality. Through hotel records, verified phone logs, and testimony from former staff members, he asserts that the connection between Meghan and Trevor Engelson never truly ended during this critical window. The courtroom collectively leaned forward as Bower focused on the specific period between July 2016, when Meghan first met Prince Harry, and their public engagement announcement in late 2017. This was the audition phase for the role of Duchess. But Bower argues that Meghan, ever the pragmatist, wasn't ready to let go of her safety net until she had firmly secured the main prize. He pointed to inexplicable gaps in Meghan's schedule while filming in Toronto. These weren't just days off. According to Bower's evidence, these gaps oddly coincide with unpublicized trips made by one specific person, Trevor Engelson. Think about the implications of that. While Harry was in London, sending text messages and dreaming of his new love, Bower alleges that his future wife was potentially maintaining a complex connection with her ex-husband just a few miles away in Canada. The courtroom temperature dropped as Bower described this as a safe exit strategy. He posed a question that made the entire room shudder. Could a woman as calculating as Meghan truly sever her lifeline when she wasn't sure she had a firm grip on the new island she was anchoring herself to? Harry was the high-risk, high-reward investment. Trevor was the proven asset. But how did Bower get this information? This is where the story becomes truly damaging for the palace. Bower revealed he gained access to the palace's gatekeepers, longtime servants and aides who observed events from behind the velvet curtains. These individuals remained silent for nearly a decade out of loyalty to the crown. But under the pressure of the Sussexes' continuous attacks on the monarchy, they finally broke their silence. They provided the receipts. They provided the dates. And this Toronto overlap leads us to the most terrifying conclusion of all. If Meghan was indeed juggling two lives and two men during the crucial months leading up to her royal wedding, it raises a biological question that no one wanted to ask. Bower calls it the timeline of genetics, because if the relationships overlapped, then the conception dates overlap. And if the conception dates overlap, then Harry's assumption that he is the only possible father becomes just that, an assumption. And in the eyes of the British Constitution, an assumption is not enough to inherit a throne. This brings us to the moment that changed everything in courtroom number 7. Tom Bower didn't just question a timeline, he questioned a bloodline. He introduced a phrase that will likely go down in history: Operation Cuckoo. For those who don't know, a cuckoo bird does not build its own nest. It lays its egg in another bird's nest, tricking the host into raising a chick that isn't theirs. It is nature's ultimate deception. And Bower is alleging that Prince Harry has been living inside this very deception for years. The courtroom fell into a silence so intense it becomes terrifying, as Bower began to list the anomalies surrounding the birth of Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. He posed a devastating series of questions that the world has ignored for too long. Why is every detail about Archie's birth shrouded in such impenetrable fog? We must look at the facts. Unlike the births of Prince William's children, where royal doctors proudly signed the notices, Archie's birth was different. Bower highlighted that the famous royal doctors refused to sign the traditional birth certificate, breaking centuries of established practice. Why would the most prestigious medical team in England refuse to put their names on a document? Unless they couldn't verify what they were seeing. But the smoking gun, according to Bower, is the certificate itself. He pointed out that months after the birth, Meghan insisted on changing crucial information on her son's birth certificate. She removed her first name's Rachel Meghan and left only Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. The media told us this was a snub to Kate Middleton, but Bower argues it was a legal maneuver, a way to distance the child's identity from her personal history and bind him solely to the royal title. Before we reveal the shocking reason why Harry and Meghan really left the UK, I want to pause and check in with our incredible community. This investigation uncovers secrets that cross borders, just like our viewers. I am broadcasting from our studio here in London, but I want to know where you are watching this unravel. Please, drop your city and country in the comments below. I hope you and your loved ones are healthy and safe during these turbulent times. Thank you for being the heartbeat of Legacy's Edge. Now, back to the Cuckoo file. Bower's most ruthless argument concerns Megxit. The world was told that Harry and Meghan left in 2020 because of racism and privacy concerns. They sold that story to Oprah, to Netflix, and to the world. But Bower referred to this as a painful psychological dissection. He insists the exit was a desperate escape. Why? Because of a biological clock that has nothing to do with age. Bower argues they fled to remove Archie from the control of royal doctors and avoid the strict DNA tests that the palace would undoubtedly require as the child grew up. You see, babies look generic, but as a child turns 1, 2, or 3 years old, their features sharpen. Genetics reveal themselves. Bower claims that whispers were already starting within the palace walls. Doubts about hair color, eye shape, and resemblance were leaking. If they had stayed in the UK, Archie would be subject to the royal medical protocols. By moving to California, they moved him behind a wall of American privacy laws, where the fortress to conceal this deception is strongest. Bower looked directly at Harry, a man who sacrificed his titles, his safety, and his relationship with his father and brother, and delivered the blow. He had no idea he might have been protecting a genetic lie. Harry thought he was saving his family from the paparazzi. But if Bower is right, he was actually acting as an unknowing accomplice in a constitutional crime. And the worst part? The palace knew. Bower claims they didn't just suspect it. They had proof locked away in the dark. Many people make a critical mistake. They think Buckingham Palace was asleep at the wheel. They assume the Queen and Prince Charles were simply blinded by love or passive when Meghan entered the fold. Tom Bower's testimony shatters that illusion completely. According to Bower, the palace was not naive. They were terrified. He revealed a secret that sent gasps through the gallery. The palace knew. Immediately after Archie was born at Portland Hospital in May 2019, a secret genetic testing process was quietly set in motion. While the world was celebrating the arrival of a new royal baby, behind the thick stone walls, a routine health check was conducted. But its true purpose wasn't health, it was verification. So, where is that result now? If Archie is truly Harry's son, why wasn't the result proudly displayed to silence the whispers? Bower reveals the chilling answer. The document has never seen the light of day. It was sealed and taken to one of the most secure locations in Britain, a special safe, deep within the palace's wine cellar. A location where only the highest-ranking family members hold keys for access. But why hide it? This is where we must leave the realm of gossip and enter the cold, hard reality of constitutional law. Bower offered a ruthless explanation rooted in political survival. Cast your mind back to 2019. The monarchy was on the brink of collapse. Prince Andrew was drowning in the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. The public's faith in the institution was hanging by a thread. King Charles, then Prince of Wales, and Prince William faced a brutal choice. If they revealed that Archie did not carry royal blood, it wouldn't just be a scandal, it would be a constitutional crisis. Under the ancient Treason Act of 1351, deceiving the crown regarding the line of succession is considered high treason. If Meghan had knowingly presented a child, not of the royal body, as an heir to the throne, the legal implications would be catastrophic. It would demand a public trial, It would destroy Harry completely, and it might have dragged the entire House of Windsor down with it. So, they made a calculated decision. They chose strategic silence to protect the institution's survival. They locked the truth in the wine cellar, hoping they could manage the Sussexes quietly. They thought they could contain Meghan by giving her a title, a home, and a budget. But this compassion and conservatism created a media monster. By hiding the DNA result, Charles inadvertently gave Meghan the ultimate weapon, the shield of uncertainty. She understood that the palace would never dare reveal the truth, fearing the destruction it would cause. She knew her secret was safe, not because they loved her, but because they feared the alternative. This transforms the narrative entirely. King Charles isn't a weak father who couldn't control his son. He is a monarch who is being held hostage by a biological secret sitting in his own basement. And Harry? Bower paints him as the most tragic victim. The prince is fighting a war against his own family, accusing them of leaking stories, never realizing that the biggest story of all, the one that could end his entire existence, is the one they have been protecting him from. Harry is trapped in a glass cage of lies, defending a wife who may have compromised the very bloodline he swore to uphold. The document in the wine cellar is ticking, and as Bower stood in court, he essentially told the king, "It is time to open the safe." In the world of diplomacy and royal dynasties, silence is often considered golden. But in the wake of Tom Bower's bombshell testimony, the silence from one specific corner of Hollywood begins to feel like an unspoken confession. We must ask the question that defies all logic. Why hasn't Trevor Engelson spoken? Think about it. He was the man discarded via FedEx. He was the one humiliated on a global stage. He holds the memories, the habits, and the darkest corners of Meghan's rise. Any other Hollywood producer in his position would have signed a multi-million-dollar book deal the moment the engagement was announced. Publishers were reportedly offering 7 figures for his side of the story. Yet, he turned them all down. He didn't just say no, he vanished into a life of quiet luxury. Tom Bower suggests this wasn't just dignity. It was a transaction. In court, Bower alluded to what insiders call the silent payoff. The theory is ruthless in its simplicity. Bower presented what he termed unusual communication patterns between 2016 and 2017. While the world focused on the romance, encrypted messages were flying back and forth, discussing business opportunities and exit strategies. But what if the business wasn't about movies? What if it was about silence? Bower hinted at a complex web of financial movements that coincided with Meghan's entry into the royal family. We are talking about the possibility of a watertight non-disclosure agreement, NDA, backed by a settlement so significant that it made silence the most profitable option. Where would this money come from? Speculation in the courtroom pointed to the remnants of Meghan's own earnings from suits, or perhaps, more disturbingly, funds that were quietly funneled through third-party entities to ensure loose ends were tied up before the wedding. This explains the glass cage Harry is living in. Harry likely believes Trevor is silent out of respect or fear. He has no idea that his wife's past might have been purchased to protect his present. But contracts have expiration dates, and NDAs can be broken if a court subpoenas them. This is the nightmare scenario Bower painted for the Sussex legal team. If this case moves to a parliamentary inquiry, Trevor Engelson could be compelled to testify under oath. This is no longer internet conspiracy theory territory. If Trevor takes the stand, no NDA in the world can stop him from answering one question. Did you meet with Meghan Markle in Toronto in 2016? The silence of Trevor Engelson is the loudest sound in this entire scandal. The ghost of Trevor Engelson is no longer the past. It's present, tearing apart the Sussex future. And it leads us to the final, heartbreaking realization of this saga. While Meghan secured her silence, and the palace secured their secrets in a wine cellar, one man was left completely in the dark. Prince Harry, the man who gave up his country, his military titles, and his family to be a protector. He didn't realize that in this high-stakes game of chess, He wasn't the player. He was the pawn. Bower portrays Harry as a puppet in a perfectly staged play. And as we move to our final conclusion, we have to look at the devastating cost of this deception, not for the monarchy, but for a father who might be about to lose his son. As we close the Cuckoo file, we are left with a tragedy that rivals Shakespeare. Prince Harry, the man who waged war against his family, his country, and the press to protect his wife, may wake up to find he was fighting for a mirage. Tom Bower's testimony suggests that Harry is the ultimate victim in this drama, a puppet in a perfectly staged play. He sacrificed his blood relatives to protect a bloodline that might not even be his. He burned down his own house to keep a secret that was never his to keep. This teaches us a brutal lesson about life. You cannot build a kingdom on a foundation of secrets. Harry wanted freedom, but he traded the gilded cage of the palace for a glass cage of lies in Montecito. The silence from Meghan, the silence from Trevor Engelson, and the silence from the palace all point to one undeniable truth. Where there is no transparency, there is no trust. If this was all a lie, a simple DNA test would have ended it years ago. The fact that we are still asking these questions in 2026 tells you everything you need to know. Now, the gavel is in your hands. Is Tom Bower a hero for exposing the constitutional fraud, or is he the villain destroying a family? And more importantly, do you believe the king should finally open the safe in the wine cellar? I want to hear your voice. Type "open the safe" if you demand the truth. Type "leave them alone" if you think privacy matters more. If you believe the truth is worth fighting for, please smash that like button. It helps us break through the algorithm of silence. Subscribe to Legacy's Edge and ring the bell, because when that safe finally opens, we will be the first to tell you what's inside. Until then, keep your eyes open.